Hi, this is Kevin with your favorite Photoshop tutorials. Today I'm going to show you how to create this sort of designs where you've got a simple shape which is repeated in a circular pattern. Now you can do this in Photoshop CS4 and Photoshop CS5 using vector shapes, and that's what I'm going to do here. First thing I want to do is to create a shape. I'm using the custom shape tool and I'm just going to draw a heart shape. Now the next thing I want to do is to go to the shape mask and just control click, and that selects the shape. I can now press Ctrl Alt and T on the keyboard, and that allows me to transform the shape and duplicate it at the same time. Now what I've just done there is to move the anchor point or the pivot point down. That allows us to choose the central part of the array, and what we can do now is to go to the outside of the shape, and when we get this kind of curvy pointer we can drag it round, and if you hold down shift you can get sort of compass point, what I call compass point positions instead of the smooth scrolling. So I'm going to choose a position there and release and hit OK, or press enter rather. Now what I can do is to press Ctrl Alt Shift and T, and each time I press T this thing is going to continue repeating, and as you can see there we've got a nice design with 8 hearts, yes 8 hearts, all at perfect compass points. Now what we can do, because we're dealing with vector shapes here, what we can do is to actually use the path selection tool, the direct selection tool to select everything on that particular mask. And next what I can do is to again press Ctrl Alt and T, and holding down Alt and Shift I can bring this in towards the center, and because we're dealing with vector shapes we get a perfect, just press return. And if I zoom in, you can see we've got perfect heart shapes in the center there. If you're using pixel-based editing, you would have some sort of loss of quality, and sometimes you would even get loss of quality with the original size copies there. With the vector shape transformations, you can get very good copies, consistent quality copies, no matter what size they are. And the other thing you can do is, if I just go back a little bit to this stage, if I press down Ctrl Alt and T, and this time again move the pivot point down. If I press down shift, the pivot point will move down, up and down according to where it finds various guides. So holding down shift keeps everything centered, and if I hold down shift again I can get a pretty good quality, I can get a compass point position. But now if I reduce the shape, the size of the shape, and again holding down shift keeps everything in proportion. If I reduce the size of the shape, maybe not that much, maybe just a little bit like that, what I can do is to press return or enter, and if I now press Ctrl Alt and Shift and T, you'll notice that we get a nice spiral shape. Now that happens whenever you choose to make the shape larger or smaller. And yeah, that's a really nice, useful way of creating interesting designs. So I hope you found that useful. If you did, please subscribe, comment, rate, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.